have about 35 fantasy teams, and I'm not making this up. During the summer, I used to wake up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, couldn't go back to sleep. I was bored, so I just drafted a bunch of fantasy teams. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is on every single one of those fantasy teams. And he's been a really huge disappointment. And I'm wondering what's wrong with Marvin Harrison Jr. because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who expected for Marvin Harrison to have a breakout season this year. I mean, your dad is Marvin Harrison, one of the greatest receivers in NFL history. So I have a hard time imagining that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a bust, which I don't believe he's going to be a bust, but he definitely can be a disappointment because right now, he does not look like a receiver that you thought was a top 5 pick. He looks like a back of the end of the first round kind of receiver. Good, but not great. Good, but not a superstar like Malik Nabers or Brian Thomas Jr., who's having his fair share of struggles, but we'll get into him on a different day. This is about Marvin Harrison Jr. Is Marvin Harrison Jr. just not good at all? Because I don't believe that's the case. Marvin Harrison Jr., he's not the athlete that Malik Nabers is. You don't see the explosiveness coming off the line out of Marvin Harrison Jr. that you see with Malik Nabers. He's not as dynamic after the catch with the ball in his hands as what Malik Nabers is. But he is a more technically refined receiver in terms of running routes, being able to get open, creating separation than what Malik Nabers is. At least that's what supposedly was supposed to be the case when he was coming out of college. And the difference between the two, Malik Nabers was more raw, but more athletically gifted than what Marvin Harrison Jr. was. He was the guy who was supposed to come around his second season. Marvin Harrison Jr. was more so supposed to have the instant success. But it seems like the roles of MHJ and Malik Nabers have been reversed in terms of what they were supposed to be in the NFL, because Malik Nabers has been a superstar and Marvin Harrison Jr., I watch him and he's just a guy. I don't really see anything special when I watch Marvin Harrison Jr. play. He doesn't win a lot of 50-50 balls. You know, it's not like he's the greatest route runner in the world. He's a great route runner, but not a great route runner. He just doesn't get open as much as what Malik Nabers does. Now, I don't think that this is necessarily all of Marvin Harrison's fault, why his career has gotten out to the slow start that it has up to this point. Kyler Murray is the most inconsistent quarterback in the NFL. For the amount of criticism that Trevor Lawrence gets for not living up to the hype of being a number 1 overall pick, Kyler Murray never gets talked about as much as Trevor Lawrence, and I think he's in that same category. Kyler Murray can look good for one half and look completely awful for the second half. He can look good for one game and look like an average quarterback the next game. You just never know what you're going to get out of Kyler Murray. Every time he steps on the field, he can have one good drive and 2 bad drives the next. He's just a very streaky player. And he doesn't throw the football particularly well in the middle of the field. And even though Marvin Harrison Jr. can be a good deep ball threat, because he's supposed to be this good all-around receiver, he's not particularly great at one thing, but he's good at a bunch of things. You know, he's not a master of anything, but he's a jack of all trades kind of receiver, you know. But to get the most out of somebody like Marvin Harrison Jr., he's more effective in the middle of the field. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a good possession receiver. 3rd down and 5. Nobody's open. Marvin Harrison Jr. has to be open somewhere downfield. Or here he goes. keep the drive alive. He's one of those move the chains kind of receivers. Kyler Murray doesn't use him like that, though. The Cardinals don't use Marvin Harrison Jr. like that, though. The Cardinals have Marvin Harrison Jr., and in spite of using a top 5 pick on him, they don't treat him like he's a top 5 pick. When you have somebody like Marvin Harrison Jr., regardless of how good they are or how good they may not be, you still got to force feed them the ball. Marvin Harrison Jr. isn't getting force fed like Malik Nabers. The Giants are finding ways to get Malik Nabers at least 10 targets per game. That's the same case. That's what the same case should be for Marvin Harrison Jr. You should be finding ways to get Marvin Harrison Jr. at least 10 targets every game. Because that's what a superstar receiver is supposed to get. It can't be one of those things, we're just going to go with the flow. We're not going to force anything. Because, you're not beating any of the good teams on your schedule. You could even beat the 49ers with a backup quarterback. Kyler Murray got outplayed by Mac Jones. Why is that? Why is it that your offense got outscored by the 49ers with Mac Jones? Because you're not getting Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball more. You're getting all your other playmakers on offense involved, but the guy that you spent a top 5 pick on at receiver. Marvin Harrison Jr., yeah, he may not be as good as advertised, but we still don't really know because he's not being treated like the superstar that he's supposed to be by Arizona. Rather, if Marvin Harrison Jr. is overrated or not, the Cardinals still got to get him more involved in the offense. He needs to get 10 targets per game. Nothing less than that. Because that's the kind of targets that a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. should be getting, unless he's getting double and quadruple team, then that's a different conversation for another day, but that's not the case. Now, Marvin Harrison Jr. still has to go out there and make the plays, but it's a two-way street when it comes to these things. And all I know is that Marvin Harrison Jr. is not producing for my fantasy team. And something has to change because nobody else wants to trade for him. And I can't really bench him because it's hard to bench Marvin Harrison. Because if you bench Marvin Harrison, then there is going to be a game that he ends up going off because the talent is there for him to be one of the best receivers in the game. And he has had those games. But he also has a lot of games where you just leave him on the bench. So is Marvin Harrison going to break out this year? You guys tell me if you made it this far, because I don't know if I should keep starting Marvin Harrison Jr. or bench him for a guy like Torrey Horton or somebody else on my bench, Calvin Ridley, Malik Nabers. I really don't know, but I don't have a lot of better options on my bench for Marvin Harrison Jr. And nobody else seems to be interested in trading for him. So can Marvin Harrison Jr. turn his sophomore season around? Because I'm starting to think that he can't. They only want to give him 5-6 targets a game. Kyler Murray's inconsistency doesn't help. The play calling doesn't help. What the hell is up with Marvin Harrison Jr., man?